Last time. Welcome back to more 999. Last time we avoided becoming popsicles, and for some reason the red wasn't working. As they soon discovered, it wasn't only the red for door 8 that was behaving strangely. The red on door 7 also refused to respond. And the door 3 was similarly silent. None of them would respond. What did it mean? I knew it! They're broken. Zero sure sucks at maintenance. No, that's impossible. You really think Zero, who prepared all of this, would make such a stupid, simple mistake? Maybe, but that doesn't explain why this thing ain't working. True. It was at that moment that they heard a voice from behind them. I believe the bottom of the device has been removed. They spun around to see Snake! Oh, thank God you're here. But it was more than just Snake. Ace, Clover, and Seven quickly filed into the room as well. Oh my God, thankfully none of them are dead. That's what I was hoping we would find out. Although they were glad to see one another, it wasn't terribly surprising that they had. If it had been the other party who opened the gate in front of the kitchen, it wasn't unreasonable that they'd bump into one another eventually. The rest of Snake's team, however, did look rather surprised. How? How did you guys? How did you end up here? Well, we followed a series of unfortunate events. After a moment of silence and surprise, everyone suddenly began to talk, desperate to exchange information. They talked about the rooms they'd been through and how they ended up in the same place. Of course, none of this was very useful information, but that was hardly what mattered. They were happy to simply see one another again. Although the level of cheer varied greatly from person to person, each one of them was wearing some manner of smile. Almost as though they had already forgotten about the death of the ninth man. No, thought Junpei, perhaps that wasn't it. Perhaps thoughts of his death were what drove them to smile at one another. Well, you don't know what you have until you see it lost. Not in a more bitter, hateful way, no. The ninth man died, but they were still alive, and that was something to be happy about. True that. A sort of simple, uncomplicated joy, Junpei thought. The joy of being alive. Still alive. He felt sorry for the ninth man, but more than anything, Junpei was just happy to be alive. Agreed, my man. Life is the best gift you can give. There you have it, our half of the story. His part finished, Ace fell silent. For a moment, Junpei was silent in thought, then he spoke. Okay, let me see if I got all this straight. When you guys got here, the bases for the red were already gone. And you looked all over this room, but you couldn't find anything? So you figured that there might be something in the hallway of all those doors. So you went and had a look? Yeah. And while you were looking, you heard voices? Uh-huh. So you followed the voices and came back here? Indeed. And that was how I found you. Junpei examined the three reds again, just in case. On the bottom of each was a long, thin gap. It looked like a slot for something. Probably something electronic. Explains why they're not working. Well, this isn't good. If the red isn't active, we can't keep going. Well, what about the hallway over there? Isn't there anywhere else we can go? No, there isn't. There are plenty more hospital rooms, but nothing else. Hospital rooms? That's what's behind all those doors? Yes. There are a number of individual rooms in addition to the large one. There was a door at the end of the hallway, but it was locked. There was an astrological symbol engraved near the keyhole, however. Well, that explains how he knows what it is. I was able to get a good, feel of it. I believe it was a symbol of Jupiter. Not again. Those goddamn things are everywhere. I wonder what they all mean. For a moment, everyone was silent, deep in thought. While we're asking about things, or what things mean, what's the deal with this room? I mean, I thought this was a cruise ship, but I can't imagine a cruise ship would have A hospital like this? Nothing beyond a small infirmary. Of all the people, it was 7 who answered, and with calm confidence. Well, I figure it's probably a hospital ship. Chances are it's the Gigantic. The Gigantic? Junpei looked confused. So did everyone else. What is this Gigantic? He's gigantic, but that's not what he means, I think. 7 knit his brows for a moment, then began to explain. The Gigantic. He explained that she had been a sister ship to the Titanic built in the early 20th century. The Titanic had 2 sister ships who were identical to one another in nearly every aspect. The Gigantic was said to be one of them. She was initially intended to be a passenger liner, like the Titanic, but soon after the ship was launched, the First World War began, and she was pressed into duty by the British Navy as a hospital ship. Explains all the hospital rooms. Sometime later, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the Aegean Sea. She managed to run aground after the incident and coincidentally was not sunk. What then happened to the Gigantic after her fateful encounter of the Aegean Sea? One theory ran that a man named Lord Gourdane purchased her. Lord Gourdane seemed, had been one of the few survivors of the Titanic tragedy. That trauma had turned him into an obsessive collector of all things related to the Titanic. As his obsession deepened, he began to desire the Titanic itself. That, of course, he knew was impossible. The Titanic lay at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The Gigantic, however, had not suffered such a dire fate, and as she was identical to her sister ship, she caught Lord Gourdane's eye. So you're saying this Lord Gourdane bought the ship? Yeah, at least I think I am. That's impossible. There's no way we're on some boat that's almost 100 years old. Pipe down. Just pay attention. What? That's it? Well, have you got any proof? Proof? Proof that the ship is really the Gigantic? Well, the ship's got stuff that's like the Titanic and a hospital ship. So I just figured. Oh, for goodness, don't tell me that's your only reason. No, I've got more. Like? Well, I mean... 7 looked around desperately, doing anything to avoid meeting Lotus's piercing stare. He scratched his head for a moment, then gave up. Finally, he opened his mouth. I don't know. Lotus sighed and shook her head. I guess your memory isn't back yet, is it? Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, wait a minute. Memory isn't back? That's something they didn't tell us earlier. Junpei he felt legitimately shocked by what seemed to be new, very important information. Everyone else, however, seemed unimpressed. In fact, they all looked at Junpei as though he had said something very strange. He decided to revise his attitude for the next question. Wait, was I the only one that didn't know? Everyone nodded. Why? Oh yeah, I guess I didn't tell you, huh? I told the rest of them before I ran into you on the stairs. I told them I couldn't remember a damn thing before I woke up. What? Then, almost as if to save Junpei from further embarrassment, bell ringing saved him. A bell began to ring from far away. It sounded as though it was the clock at the main stairway. Junpei counted each chime carefully. 10, 11, 12. It's midnight. We still got 6 hours left, right? We don't have any time to screw around. Let's get going. We gotta find the missing parts for the Reds. What do you mean, find? How on earth do you propose we do that? We've looked around everywhere in this room. That only leaves one place to look. One? Well, I guess that's not really right. Huh? Well, wait. Don't tell me you mean we need to search all of the other rooms? Don't freak out. We've already searched 4 of them. 4 rooms? We just have to split up the rest between the 8 of us. If each person does 6 rooms, that'll be 48 rooms, right? So, there are 48 rooms left? Her early experiences had apparently not encouraged Lotus to trust Seven. Seven scratched his head awkwardly. I don't know. After a little more discussion, they split up and headed towards the rooms to begin searching them. Junpei was chosen to search the rooms on the starboard side, moving from fore to aft. They also determined when they would return to report their findings. The next time the clock sounded, the time, when it did, they would meet back in a large central room full of beds. Not a bad plan. If, during the search, any of them were to locate the missing components, they were to yell for the others. Pretty straightforward plan. If this strategy failed, they'd return to discuss their options later. The details decided, they left to begin their search. Out into the hallway they went, each to the rooms they had been assigned. However... What, are we not searching them? That was quick. From far away, Junpei heard the bell ring. It did so only once. It was 1 a.m. then. He jogged through the entrance of the large hospital room to find 6 of the others were already there. Ace, Santa, Clover, June, and Seven and Lotus. They'd gathered in front of the numbered doors. Or perhaps, to be accurate, they had gathered in front of the red next to door 8. Had one of them found the missing piece? What happened, guys? It was June who answered him. Jumpy, look! She was pointing at the red. He pushed through the others until he stood in front of it. It's on? And repaired? Is whatever's missing put back in? Immediately, he knew what she had meant. A display in front of the red vacant. Junpei sighed. Come on, guys. Who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found it. Well... Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked as confused as June, but kept their mouths shut. What the hell? What's up with you guys? They all knew something he didn't, and Junpei wasn't about to leave things that way. I wouldn't. Finally, Lotus frowned and spoke. Well, that's the thing. We don't know. You don't know? When I got back, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing parts were already back in the red. Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot had been open on the bottom was now covered with metal. Clearly, whatever had been missing had been returned. What about the other 2? They're the same. Junpei quickly examined the other 2 boxes. Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still very confused, he returned to the others. Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has an idea what the hell happened here, right? Ace and June nodded slowly. Seven raised his hand as if to say, not me, and Santa just shrugged. Only Clover lowered her head and did nothing. Huh? Wait a minute. That was when he noticed. Where's Snake? Right, he wasn't here when we first came in. Junpei swept his eyes across the room a second time. But Snake was nowhere to be seen. Does that mean he found them? I've no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either. I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person. Well, whatever he did or didn't do is pretty damn late. What the hell's he up to? Maybe he's lost. Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see, so I don't know how he gets around in the first place. Clover raised her head. No, that's impossible! Suddenly, she was shouting, "Yeah, my brother's blind, but he's got really great hearing. He can get around just as well as anyone can see. So he couldn't get lost. That's impossible." Clover had started to shake, and the knuckles of her hands had gone white. She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm gonna go look for him." Her words were barely out of her mouth when she began to run. "Hey! Hold on, Clover, wait!" Junpei cried out to her, but it was too slow. He kept going, and before anyone else could react, she was gone. Damn it! Now it's more than one person lost. We have to look for two. Great! What should we do now? Well, the red is working now. No, we're not leaving two people behind. We should go look for them. Oh man, this ain't good. Oh yes, what an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some stupid piece of electronic junk. Now it's to waste some more time by looking for a couple of idiots. Then remain here if you feel you must, but there's no time. We've only 5 hours left. Junpei and the others nodded to one another and took off at a run. In front of the stairs that led to B deck, they decided to split up. They quickly assigned search areas and went to their separate ways. Soon only 2 of them were left. Those 2 were Junpei and June, who had been a few steps behind the others. Alright, we should go too. Yes, let's go! But where should we start? Let's see. Well, you can go to Casino Deck, the first class cabin, the hallway with all the rooms, or back to the large hospital room. You know what? We might have missed him, or perhaps he went back even. That's where I find most lost things, in the room I was just in. So let's try that first. Let's go back to the large hospital room. Huh? Why would we go back? I mean, we might have just missed him, you know? Maybe he really was just late. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, let's go. They turned and ran down the hallway to their right. On their way to the large room, Junpei and June noticed Santa standing next to number 3 door. Junpei paused. What should Junpei do? Well, he's a salty little bugger right now, so I'm not going to say anything to him, and we're just going to continue our thing. If he wants to talk to us, he can. Junpei turned around and walked away from Santa. There was nothing he'd learned from talking to him anyways. Junpei took June and left the large hospital room. Where would they go next? Well, I want to finish looking in here. It's a big room after all. Maybe he's sleeping in a bed. Maybe. On the off chance. They looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found. We can't keep looking for Snake. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving. Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to have similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke. We don't got a choice. Lotus is right. We're not going to find Snake. There's a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's going to go through which door. Yes. I have a proposal. She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped. Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice? Sacrifice? Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through these doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3? I'm not sure if that's a good idea. But she's right, unfortunately. It might have made a difference if we had 9 with us, but he's dead somewhere. Or back in the other rooms that they went through. So I'm gonna have to agree with her for now. Don't want to, but I do. It wasn't pleasant, but she was right. There wasn't any way that the numbers worked out. If one group was 4 and the other group would always have a digital route that didn't match a door. When Seven spoke, his voice was strained. Man, you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind? Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logical and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are survived, then one person has to sacrifice themselves. No, that's too cruel. What's so cruel about it? To just sacrifice someone like that. Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1. That's not what I meant. We shouldn't sacrifice anyone. I told you that's impossible. Wake up. Wow, calm down, you two. Santa stepped between Lotus and June. Look, what Lotus is trying to say is that you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right? Exactly. That's how democracy works. And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think? No, that's terrible. I'm not asking you. Shut up. What about you, Santa? Me? Well, I agree, I guess. Alright, that's 1 vote for counting mine, that's 2. 7? I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die. Glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover? Clover had moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Her whole body dropped. Junpei didn't know if she had even heard Lotus's proposal. Or drooped. Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder. Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow? Clover slowly lifted her face. Let's go look for him together, okay? If we sacrifice 1 person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right? Clover nodded once. The motion carries. Lotus spun around and walked towards Junpei. Now, let's start a vote, too. That won't be necessary. Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. He didn't seem to notice or even care. I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes? Expand upon that, that's not a bad idea at all, because if Snake happens to have stayed behind or is left behind somewhere that we didn't look, their digital routes add up to the point where they can go through door 3 and hopefully continue on. That is, if he isn't on the other side of the door. Ace, what are you saying? No, you can't do that. That won't solve anything. June's voice shook and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Ace simply looked at her. June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself. Huh? I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me. Whoa. There's optimistic, and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them, you won't be able to return, correct? Yeah. True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship. What? Please, I beg you, once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally within the time limit Zero has given us. No, that's ridiculous! There's no way we could go back or get back in time. Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer. We've only got 5 hours left. We don't know Where the hell we are even? How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you? Then perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me. Or perhaps you would be willing to leave June behind. Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal. You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go quickly. Junpei stood, frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lips so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against a wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others. Good. Let's accept his kind offer then. She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own. Good. I think this is best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. Perhaps it's my age, but I get tired so easily these days. As he spoke, Ace lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei had heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until the time limit was up? Already, D-Deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was a sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first. Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up? As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once. You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do right now. 7. Seriously? Honestly? I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk. You too, Santa? I have to find my brother. Oh, wait, all of you. Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Chumpy? Say something. Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way. His words sounded hollow and fake. Fine. Forget about it. I'll figure it out on my own. She spun around and ran towards Ace. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled. Come on, Ace, please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here. Then it happened. Ace fell forward. He slumped over onto the wooden floor. His body folded in half like a boxer out cold. Ace! June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up. What happened, Ace? Say something. She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open. I'm all right. His voice was weak and slightly slurred. How are you fine? This. He held his left arm and slowly opened his hand. In it was a syringe and a small vial. The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to its sides. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read Saporal Beta. Saporal Beta? Junpei had no idea what it meant or what kind of medicine it might be. Did you use this? Yes. It's just an anesthetic. I'll be fine. Anesthetic? I found it earlier, when we were searching the hospital rooms. I thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself. Why did you do this? Didn't I tell you? I'd like to take a nap. I really am very tired. Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei in June's attempts to bring him along. If he couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He injected himself so that it would be forced to leave him behind. Ace! Is there something you want to say? I just like to sleep a little. Could you keep it down? No! Don't, Ace! Don't fall asleep! You feel warm. So comfortable. I think I'll have a nice dream. Ace's eyelids drooped further and further, almost as though he were dying. Ace! Ace! She shook his shoulder again and again, but this time he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was alive. Junpei was relieved to see he was, in fact, still breathing, and that wasn't poison or something in there. He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity. Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't leave his sacrifice go to waste. Right? She's not wrong. She wasn't feeling any remorse, Junpei was sure of that. Still, he held no grounds upon which to oppose her. It felt wrong, but he had to agree. Then suddenly Santa spoke. Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we? Huh? What do you mean? Well, we haven't decided on who's going in what door. Ah, yes, that's true. Well, enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want? I want door number 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number. Got it. You're 8. You're next, 7. Which one do you want? I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady. What? I see why. What did you just say? Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step towards 7. He threw up his hands and made a face like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Huh. You're going to get it next time. She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, then turned and stalked off. Wow, that's one fiery woman, I tell you. Alright, who's next? Santa's gaze moved across the 3 people left. Finally, they stopped on Junpei. Junpei, which door do you want, man? At last, Junpei's mind was already made up. Well, I'm gonna go with 7 this time and get away from the old lady. Too fiery, 5 me. I think I'm gonna go with door 7. Okay, 7 it is. Yeah. Alright then. That means June's gotta go through 8. What? Why? What? Santa grimaced and muttered angrily to himself, but finally began to explain. If the 6 of us are gonna keep going without leaving anyone behind, there's only 3 ways we can do it. With the digital routes, right? Plan A, go through 7 with 3, 5, and 8. Or go through 8 with 4, 6, and 7. Plan B, go through 7 with 4, 5, and 7. And go through 8 with 3, 6, and 8. Plan C would be go through door 7 with 3, 6, 7. Or go through 8 with 4, 5, 8. And that's it. Those are our only options. In other words, 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 can never go through the same doors. You get it now? As Santa finished, June looked over at Junpei, tears welling up at the corners of her eyes. Oh no! You're saying we aren't going to see each other again for a long time. Junpei felt just as June did. He wanted to be at her side through whatever trials they were preparing to face. But he knew, if they were to survive, he had to swallow his feelings. In order for the 6 of them to move forward, he and June had to be separated. He looked at June. He was scared to lose her, but he swallowed, steeled his resolve, and did his best to smile. Hey, come on, you're gonna make it sound like we're never gonna see each other again. Gotta split up, but only for a while. This is just like when we went to that 4th and 5th doors, remember? We gotta split up then too, but we all went back up. I bet 7 and 8 are just like that. You mean they're connected somewhere? Yeah, in his mind he hoped. Probably. Probably? She didn't sound very hopeful. It was 7 that interjected. I'm sure they're going to connect somewhere. Why? What makes you think so? If they don't connect, neither team can get through door 9. In other words, the game would end right here. Zero's been on the top of his shit so far. I don't think he'd blow it now. I'm damn sure that son of a bitch wants to have his fun as long as possible. He's not going to end this game until we get through the 9th door. June said nothing. The tears were gone, but her eyes were still sad as they looked at Junpei. He meant them, and with that what reassurance he could manage, laid his hand gently on her shoulder. Everything's gonna be fine, you hear me? We're gonna see each other again. I promise. June bit her lip and gave him an almost imperceptible nod. Yes. Promise? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Santa's voice shattered the moment. You guys are done, right? He stretched and continued. That's nice of you. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Clover and I will both go into separate groups. I figure I'll take 8 and Clover can take 7. Any problems with that, Clover? Clover looked away and was silent for a moment. Whatever. It was more of a dismissal than an agreement, but Santa didn't seem to care. Alright, we're ready to go then. Let's move! At Santa's command, the group split and headed for their respective doors. Clover, 7, and Junpei walked towards door 7. Santa, Lotus, and June headed for door 8. For a long moment, they stood in front of the door. 7 took a deep breath. You guys ready? Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's go. The door had opened, and that's where we'll leave it for today, Meisters. As 7 said, he asked if we're ready. I feel this will be a good place to end it for now. Make a save, and we'll continue next time on Let's Play 999. 9 persons, 9 peoples, 9 not dead peoples, hopefully, next time. And as always, Meisters, if you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like to show your support, and if you've yet to subscribe to the channel, and wish to see more Shin Megami shenanigans just like today's, please do join the Academy and subscribe to the channel now for more videos like this one in the future. Peace out, Meisters.